We finally played Obsidian's first-person RPG, and it's fantastic. That was the headline of the IGN review of Avowed. We'll just politely ignore the world of Aora is looking Aor awesome. That is Aor painful. Put all the props to them and grace the cringe. That's right, even though we are still basically over half a year out from the game actually releasing, IGN and several other big reviewers got to get a first-hand look at what Avowed is like by basically all playing the exact same side quests. And some of the reviews have been very positive. Eurogamer also got an hour with the game as well, saying, Avowed plays like a funny Obsidian role player where you buddy up with the voice of Mass Effect's Garrus, and maybe that's enough. Okay, so maybe that's not as big a positive review as IGN's, but it kind of still goes with the whole theme of what a lot of these reviews were saying. That basically, the game is good, the game is a lot of fun, and the game has quite a bit of humor. But let's get a little bit more into some of these reviews, as well as talk a little bit about Avowed in general, the upcoming RPG. One of the reviews had perhaps the biggest headline that I can think of that really sums up not only what we're hoping for with Avowed, but also some of the fears and concerns that have grown around Avowed for probably really since it was announced, really since we started getting more details about the game. And that one comes from Digital Trends. And it's all about Avowed's scope and depth. Avowed is a bigger and bolder RPG than I expected. That is music to my ears. That is what I have been really wanting to hear, as bit by bit I've been worrying that the scope of this game is going to be too small. Avowed has been in an interesting space since it began showing some gameplay and revealing some details about the game. Teasers left viewers underwhelmed with the look and feel of combat, and reveals that the game would be about the same scope as Outer Worlds and wouldn't have things like romances due to being unable to put enough time and effort into them to make them be done well. All of that together kind of left some wondering, how full will the RPG experience really feel? Granted, a lot of that feeling came in the wake of Baldur's Gate 3's release, and now that we're about a little bit removed from that, perhaps we can be a little bit kinder. We're a full year removed. But this game also keeps getting compared to Skyrim, so... Since that first combat reveal though, the one that left people underwhelmed, the team has been hard at work at fixing that most obvious issue. And they would later reveal a trailer that not only showed better looking combat, but also revealed that this first-person RPG was going to be adding a third-person option as well. The 25-minute gameplay deep dive that calmed a lot of concerns actually had some people excited for Avowed, myself included. And then it got delayed. It got delayed from a late 2024 launch to February of 2025, but the reason wasn't to fine-tune the RPG. No. Instead, they delayed it because fall 2024 is going to be a very busy game season. Big titles like Stalker 2, Warhammer, 40k Space Marine 2, and Dragon Age the Veilguard headline, but that's not even to mention other titles like the early access of Path of Exile 2 and the release of an expansion for Diablo 4, all among many other titles, indie and big names alike. Avowed was, in short, scared it wouldn't stand out on the stacked release schedule, so they dipped out to a much lighter February of 2025. But by doing that, doesn't that enter even more concerns? More concerns that, well, if they don't think that their game is able to stand up against all that competition, what does that mean about the game itself? Does it mean that the scope and everything may bring it closer to perhaps a AA game and less like a AAA game? And honestly, if that's the case, that's fine. One of the RPGs that I am most excited about is a self-titled AA experience. That's Fall of Avalon, which will actually be releasing into 1.0 very soon. It also happens to be another first-person RPG that has also been compared to Skyrim, because as content creators, as reviewers, and gamers, we're all very, very, very original. I promise. Yeah. But perhaps these reviews are alleviating some of those concerns. Because if we're going to listen to a lot of these reviews, it sounds like they might actually have something cooking over at Obsidian. Of course, IGN had a glowing review for the game, but Digital Trends also talked up the writing, the vibrant world, and its faithfulness to Pillars of Eternity. With their first-hand experience feeling like Avowed stays true to the core identity of developer Obsidian Entertainment. They even went further to talk not just about the game's combat, which has been a heated subject as we've already discussed, but also went on to laud its narrative approach. Which is someone who plays RPG at least halfway just for the story and the emotional moments, that has me even more excited and more eager to jump into Avowed. Digital Trends' Tomas Frenzies had this to say after playing the game firsthand. Quote, "I had my worries about Avowed's narrative because of how action-focused its trailers have been so far. That is why I was relieved to see a deep dialogue system tied with RPG stats like intelligence that is full of unique options that can permutate the narrative in surprising ways. Plus, for those coming to Avowed from Obsidian's other games, a Pentiment-like glossary of important terminology can be pulled up at any time during dialogue. There's a lot of Avowed I still haven't seen. It's not a full-blown open-world game, but it has several densely packed regions full of intriguing locales and quests left for me to discover." This sounds like a fantastic game. This sounds like a really deep narrative approach to the RPG that can really pull you in, and that marrying with all of the things that they have done to improve the combat, which I didn't go into as much, but all of these reviews were also very complimentary of the combat, how much they enjoyed it, whether they played a mage or played swords or whatever they were playing, they were enjoying themselves with the actual combat and that it felt good to them. Now, of course, this game is going to continue to be compared to Skyrim. Look no further than CNET's title for this review, which called Avowed a funnier Skyrim successor for fantasy fans. Yeah. Not every first-person game has to be compared to Skyrim, but I totally get why. And these comparisons to Skyrim, I think, are one of the things that's going to be a hassle for Avowed going forward. Because honestly, when you're being compared to a game that large, your scope might seem a little rough. But everything I'm seeing from the way that they're approaching the game is very different from what you'd expect from Skyrim, with the exception that, well, lots of side quests. It sounds like the game is finding its footing and could be one of the better RPGs we get in 2025. Each of the viewers talked up the dialogue, the options, the choices, while also complimenting the combat, the beautiful in-your-face visuals, and the identity of the game, and how it is so tied to what makes Obsidian Obsidian. Some reviewers, like Digital Trends, went in with more foreknowledge of previous games, while others, like CNET's Sean Booker, knew far less. But regardless of whether they had played games before, they all came away impressed, and I'm hopeful we all will too. We just have to wait quite a bit longer. But in the meantime, at least we have several really good RPGs that are coming up, whether it's Greedfall 2, the upcoming CRPG from Spiders that is gonna look probably a whole lot like a Dragon Age Origins, coming in September. And then a month later, we're gonna get, well, the other Dragon Age the Veilguard, which with every reveal is making me more and more excited for what's to come. But it doesn't end there, because even in November we have Path of Exile 2, which has been one of those games that's kind of been flowing under the radar for a little while, but got a ton of hype when we first saw it because it looks so good. So if you're an ARPG fan, you've got that to look forward to for early access, also in November. It's going to be a very, very busy fall and winter for fans of RPGs, and I think it's pretty safe to say that if you are enjoying this genre, whether you enjoy action, whether you enjoy CRPG, whether you enjoy narrative-driven stories, just like 2023, this is a good time to be a fan of the RPG genre. I feel like I have so many great options. I don't know what there's a feudal Japan CRPG coming out from Owlcat, or published by Owlcat. There's just so many to play, and I don't have enough time. But I hope the rest of 2024 is going to be great. I hope 2025 will be even better, and I cannot wait. And hopefully soon we get to hear what Larian is up to, because they're working on 2 new RPGs as well. And then you have The Witcher 4, and then you have the remake, and oh my god, there's so much Fable. It's a good time to be a fan of RPGs. This is like super dark lighting. I kind of like it though.